Hi, I'm Adam. I'm a game designer and GM, and today I'm looking at Crown and Skull. Crown and Skull is another TTRPG, that's tabletop role-playing game. I think I've reviewed about 24. I'm not reviewing them just to talk about their quality or anything like that. I'm reviewing them to find my next favorite tabletop role-playing game. I'm trying to find my next default one, my next favorite one after I've fallen out of love with the ones I've played in the past. So let's dive right in. I guess you could say that Crown and Skull is a D20 system, but you don't roll a D20 die that often because there's no to hit roll in Crown and Skull, you just roll damage. That's like MCDM's RPG, which I have reviewed before, but obviously Crown and Skull came out before that because MCDM's RPG isn't even out yet. Players also roll when they're supposed to defend from an attack. The GM doesn't roll for the monsters or antagonists. And overall, it describes itself as a very player-facing game. They make more rolls, they have hero points to let them build and expand upon their character. It's also an attrition game. In fact, you lose abilities, as in skills and equipment, as you get injured. So not hit points. So it's not like D&D, where a character with 1 hit point fights the same as a character with all of their hit points. You start losing the ability to do certain things as you get injured. On your turn, you can move, perform an action, or do both, which is called hurry, but that reduces your defenses by quite a bit until your next turn. On the other side, monsters get 1 to 3 turns per round. It depends on the monster, how tough they are. And when you do pick up a d20 and roll it, look for low rolls because those are better. A 1 is better than a 20. In fact, a 1 is a crit, and a 20 is a type of fumble, which is just an auto miss, as far as I can tell. A lot of Crown and Skull is flavored by this default setting called the North Hold. In fact, as part of making your character, you have to start in one of 3 possible locations: Garden Burrow, Rivergate, or Slimshire. As you win battles, you earn hero points, but these can only be spent when resting in a safe place with resources you need. So let's say you want to become better at firing a bow, you would need to not only be safe for a significant period of time, but also have someone who can train you in that bow firing, that archery. Separate from hero points are hero coins, and you can spend those to maximize damage on a roll or re-roll a roll entirely. Character creation seemed pretty simple even for beginners, because beginners can choose templates, whereas if you feel more experienced, then you can try using their point buy system, which can lead to more variable results, which I guess increases the fun if you're into that. Spells are pretty simple, but they can be customized, so as you progress in character level, one of the things that you can do is to add additional effects or boost your spells so that they're more powerful. There are even rules for building an animal companion. Instead of using terms like race or species, it is lineages in Crown and Skull. You can become a human, an elf, a stout folk, which is their term for dwarf, proudfoot, which is their term for halfling, and frogkin, which is what you kind of expect this frog-type person. There is a little bit of bioessentialism here, I'm not gonna lie. For example, stout folk have a hearty sense of moral duty, as if all stout folk have that. I guess you could say that's probably the default, and then characters can be whatever they want, but it does suggest that there is, just by dint of having this lineage, a certain attitude that you carry around with you in your life, which I guess is a problem because why would you? If it's not physiological or innate, then I don't see the reason why to put things like that in there, as if they have this one culture and no other. One of the more interesting parts of this game is that you can use something that they call discovery, which is a type of temporary amnesia that your first level, not that they have first levels, but that your starting character has, that they slowly overcome. And that's so that you can slowly reveal who you are to your party and perhaps even to yourself over time. So let's say the first thing you know is that you are human, and that's all you know. And then you discover that you're good with swords, and that's all you know, and then so on. As your character start scoring wins, they gain renown for performing these heroic deeds. And once they gain 25 hero points, you get a choice between choosing the crown or choosing the skull, hence the name of the game. Choosing the crown means that you become a paragon of the kingdom. You are their champion, and you serve some sort of monarch. Choosing the skull means you become leaderless. You answer to no one. You are a rogue or a mercenary out there doing whatever you want. Each choice unlocks skills and equipment that, as far as I can tell, cannot be unlocked any other way. This is what an enemy looks like, in this case a skeleton. I just wanted to show you what a stat block looks like. So HP, that makes sense. Those are hit points. You have 10, or the skeleton has 10. When the skeleton no longer has any hit points, they are destroyed or dead. The attack is 3, and this is not something the GM rolls. This is something that counters the player's defense roll. So if the players roll their defense, then this would subtract from it. They would subtract that 3. And in a similar vein, the defense roll is something that they subtract from the hero's attack roll, the result being how much damage is actually dealt to the skeleton. Phase is another word for turn, so the skeleton gets 3 attacks or other actions per turn. And then tactics are suggested actions that you can actually roll in this mini table. Roll a d6. If you get a 1, you're just stumbling about seeking a new target. If you roll a 6, cleave attack. And then between 2 and 5, the skeleton uses rotting weapons such as iron spears or rusty scimitars from ages past. Basic attrition. I really like how simplified that is, but I think there's enough meat there, so to speak, on the skeleton stat block, I should say. There's enough there that you could make it fun and enjoyable battle. If you scroll a little bit down on that page, you also find the skeleton elite, which is just a buffed skeleton. So could Crown and Skull become my next favorite TTRPG? It's very tempting. It's got kind of a unique character progression, which I like, and because it has character progression, then you could possibly do a longer campaign. It's not as complex as D&D 5e, but it doesn't go too far the other way and make it too simple. It can be set in a fantasy setting. In fact, there's a niche one. And I actually don't particularly like that there's a default fantasy setting. I want something more generic that could be run with others. And I feel like when you peg it to one setting, you make assumptions that might necessarily be true if I wanted to run a different setting with it. Like the whole thing with its namesake, the Crown and Skull, makes me feel like, do I really have to give them that option? And it feels so integral to their character progression, when I might not even have a king or a kingdom for them to swear fealty to if they do choose the crown. I really like their combat system, though. I think that it does a lot of things that I'm sort of naturally drawn to. I could do without the bioessentialism, but at least it's not flagrant like it is in some systems. I didn't really see any non-combat rules, which I'm hoping for, but maybe this isn't the full game, this is just a free player's guide, so maybe they're there. And I have no idea about an open license, so I couldn't say about that. So I think I'm going to give this a tentative maybe, and just sort of keep it in mind. And if the other ones that I'm sort of waiting and hoping for don't pan out like I think they will, then this very well might be my next favorite TTRPG. If you're interested, you can find their free rules on runehammer.online, which is their website. But I will see you next time. Happy reading.